Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Twin Peaks. He's Alex. I'm Joe. He caught me on a Friday night, and I said, sure, why not? Because we love to talk, and it feels like forever, even though it's been a very short spell. But just to pre warn everybody, we are going to be absolutely all over the place with tonight's show because we just want to talk about everything.
Is that even a pre-warning, or is that just as a heads up, we don't have a topic again, and we're just going to shoot the shit again?
I thought it was a better way of saying we don't have a topic again. I thought it was different, but yes,
Yeah,
basically the norm.
In your defense, that is a better way of saying it, and I just ruined your lead up. So
It's okay.
It is what it is. We were talking literally 2 minutes ago about you had just done a rewatch of something that people vilify.
Mm-hmm.
The Ben Affleck Daredevil, and I just about started to say that isn't that bad, and I thought, no, wait, let's just hit record before we have the conversation we're going to have. So my point I was going to make is that, right, cat out of the bag, or cat off the lab, or wherever she just went, it is not a fantastic movie.
No.
Right? It's okay, but it's not. Are you coming in or what? There you go. It's not a fantastic movie. It has some fun moments.
It does.
But it's not great. That said, it's not awful.
No, but it's very, watching it again, it's very dated. It definitely represents the 2002, 2003 time frame, because Kevin Smith had a hand in it. Obviously, Ben Affleck and him are huge Daredevil fans. Joe Quesada had a hand in it at that point in time. And Marvel was really scraping for hero movies. Like Spider-Man just came out. Blade came out prior to those, but they weren't hitting their stride. Spider-Man was a banger. And this was like, okay, let's test the water and see what next hero we can go with. And they went with Daredevil, which in their defense would be the easiest one to produce because it's basically a street level, character and movie and story. And the story of Daredevil is a fantastic story, which is why it's so loved. And it gets more recognition as time goes on because there have been amazing runs associated with the character. But the movie, I was like, I love Ben Affleck. We know I love Ben Affleck. You love Ben Affleck. I'm a huge fan of him just from, Chasing Amy, all the Kevin Smith movies. And, I love his directorial contributions because The Town is a magnificent movie. He's just a really good director, almost as good as an actor as he is. The problem is this was earlier in Ben Affleck's acting career. And watching it again, I'm like, okay, I just want to make the comparison since I haven't seen it in so very long. Like, who played Matt Murdock better, Charlie Cox or Ben Affleck? Oh my God, stratosphere. It's not even close. Charlie Cox is far and away better and more convincing as a blind person. But Ben Affleck had a really good look for Daredevil at that point in time. And I understood why he was cast. Like he fit it. They had some great character moments in it. I loved Foggy Nelson in this movie because it's oh my God, Jon Favreau, who I'm a humongous fan of. And I just thought he was an amazing Foggy. But rewatching it, I'm sitting there going, okay, it's not Batman and Robin. Like, it's not something you're going to watch for, oh, it's so terrible that it's got these redeeming qualities. So it doesn't have that. But it's also not Batman and Robin that, people can't put it in that vein. If you are, you're just hating on the movie because there are very good parts. But like I said, there's things now that will make you cringe. Like, obviously, back in the 2000s, directors and people sucked at music in movies because the music is such odd choices for all the scenes. It's just really weird, basic, I don't know, didn't fit the scenes. But there's some things in this movie, if you remember it, there are some things that I have never seen done in the Daredevil show that I still think is one of the coolest things that have been done with Daredevil in live action. Do you know what that is? Do you have an idea?
See, I'm thinking of when he's in the rain.
Yes,
Yeah, or the
Exactly.
sprinklers at the end, like the rain
Yep.
helping him actually see versus Michael Clark Duncan, who was
Right.
really good as Kingpin.
He
I thought
was.
he was
He was very
fantastic as
good.
Kingpin.
He was very good in Kingpin. Like he chewed the scenery. He was believable, but they made it was the same problem with the Punisher. Like they made the villain corny the way they presented them, but his fight with Daredevil was awesome. And then when he found out he was Matt Murdock, that was great. He's like, "Oh my god, the blind guy, really?" And like, you look at Michael Clark Duncan, you're like, "Okay, this guy's a mammoth. He makes perfect sense as the Kingpin. He had a booming voice. He had just that presence, and it's just that was cool. Do I like D'Onofrio better? Yes, because he fits more my mind's eye. But it's nothing to do with like,
I,
oh, it's
no,
because D'Onofrio's white. No, they're
no,
interchangeable.
I understand what you're saying. Like I think they both play a different version of the character really well. I
Yeah,
don't.
like,
I think that D'Onofrio has more of that, like,
he has
barely
more of the
restrained, psychotic.
psychology.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
he's like a barely restrained, psychotic menace.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
whereas Michael Clark Duncan was more of the animated Kingpin, if that
He's
makes
the
sense.
mob boss. He's the over the top
Yeah,
mob boss without
like
like a backstory. Yeah.
yes, yeah, exactly. He was like you said, they were both fantastic. I think
Mhm.
that Clark Duncan, is it Clark Duncan or just Duncan? I don't know. Duncan,
No,
I
it was
think.
Michael Clark Duncan was his name.
No, I was just going to refer to him by his last name / last names, but I wasn't sure
Oh,
if it was
it would be Duncan. I think
okay.
it's Duncan.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those tangents that we go to, and you'd think we
Yeah.
would research this before, but we don't.
But it was good, but there is also like the pacing was a lot of the issue for me because it moved too fast. It's a short movie, but it moved too fast. It's too clunky. And like
I
him and
think there was
Elektra are
too
having a
much in
fight.
it.
Yeah, him and Elektra, like 2 minutes after meeting, are having a fight in a schoolyard, not a schoolyard, but a playground full of children doing all these fantastic things, like flipping on seesaws and like this guy's blind. I mean, who wouldn't know he's Daredevil at that point? It just
At
it
this
took
point, yeah.
liberties. Yeah, and the other
I
thing, it the story was super paper thin, like very very paper thin, and that hurt it too.
I
But
think
there
I think
was
that
fun
we're
stuff.
saying it's paper thin though, with today's superhero movie standard,
Yes,
because back, around the turn of the century, around the
I
turn of the
know, right?
century, right? Like the majority of superhero movies were paper
Paper
thin
thin.
plot.
Yeah.
Like from up until maybe Batman Begins, really, and Spider-Man, up until
I'd
Batman
say Batman
Begins.
Begins. I think
So
you're right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so up until Batman Begins, the majority of superhero movies had a really shitty plot.
Yes.
There are exceptions.
Yep.
X-Men, X-Men 2, Spider-Man,
Yep.
Spider-Man 2, but
Yep.
most of the other ones weren't didn't have a super good plot. Now, again,
No.
like I'm just talking the major movies from the big two, but
Yeah.
you have other movies from before then, Batman.
See,
I
I
mean,
would
yes,
agree
that's
with
in
you.
'89, right?
But even 89 was a super thin plot. It's just
Oh yeah,
here's a
you're
good
right.
guy, here's a bad guy. Let's get them together to have a confrontation. Like there's really no meat and potatoes. I love that movie so much because of like Matthew, who's our third partner, jam
Mhm.
session coming up soon. I love it for the nostalgia. It's the first big thing for me and like everything. But I'll admit that it's a paper thin plot. Like you put it against Batman Begins, it's not even close because Batman
Yeah, fair.
Begins fleshes everything out. And then for the big two, the only movie that didn't have a paper thin plot for Marvel up until MCU was Spider-Man 2. That was a masterpiece, but then they cracked the code with Iron Man, the
So
first
here's a
one.
question for you. Do you consider Spider-Man having a thin plot, or does it
Yes.
have a thin plot that does really well?
No, it has a thin plot that does really well. So
Yeah.
like basically it's Toby
It's an
gets introduced, he gets bit, we got to bring in Norman Osborn, we got to find a way to put these two together. That's
Yeah,
it.
fair enough. I think you're not wrong. I was going to argue with you that it didn't have a thin plot, but when you break it down, it totally does.
Well, I mean, when you compare it to Spider-Man 2, which came after it.
I agree. I mean, but
Yeah.
you can even boil Spider-Man 2 down to Toby. Peter tries to get a job. Yeah, no, you can't. Really.
But there's
It's
you
a better
can't
thing.
because there's so much. You've got Doc Ock's arc, you've got Harry's arc, you've got Peter's arc, you've got MJ's arc, and they all weave very seamlessly. So that's what I'm trying to say. But I will say
you're not wrong. Like I said, you're not wrong with that. Like I was trying to argue it and then realized that I really can't argue it, which is a good sign. So I'm not unhappy at that.
So I will say this though. I love Joe Pantoliano as Ben Urich from Daredevil the movie. He just fit Ben Urich so very well. So there was a lot of things that were done good, and then there was some shit things. I'll say this: I despise, even again rewatching it. I'm like, let me give it a chance because he's a great actor. I fucking hate Colin Farrell as Bullseye. He is so like unbearably bad as Bullseye. So bad.
He's a brilliant villain. He's a not terrible Bullseye.
Yeah, he's horrible. And then like, I don't know, in the 2000s they relied on, very remedial CGI because it was just kind of getting its stride with like the Phantom Menace and all that stuff. There's a scene in Daredevil where they're like jumping up the organ pipes in the church while they're fighting. And I'm like, this looks, oh my God. I was like, that's so bad.
I'd forgotten how bad that was.
Yeah. But the funniest thing I thought of last night was I love Ben Affleck dearly. And he's grown into his own as just a remarkable talent in the industry all around. And I'm a fan of Jennifer Garner too. I like her a lot. She's done things that I really, really like. I'm sitting there going, how do two people who ended up being married for a while have such crap chemistry in a movie? Like they were so awful in this movie together. Like I didn't believe her as Elektra. I didn't believe him as Matt Murdock in love with her. I was like, oof, this is bad. Like
it goes back to what you said though, that there's too much in the movie with not enough time to let things breathe.
Yeah. So I mean, that's basically the point I was trying to make, and I was very interested in what you were going to say because we could have had this off mic and talked about it, but I'm glad we put it on here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's also kind of branches to a good topic of like watching movies that people think are unredeemable and just kind of looking at them through a new lens. Like one of my guilty pleasures, I'm a huge rom-com guy. I don't know if we've talked about it, but
we have.
So one of my favorite, I guess it's a rom-com, but one of my favorite rom-com series for all time is the American Pie series. I love the American Pie 1, 2, Wedding, and Reunion. Those I count.
I haven't seen Reunion.
Oh my God, you need to see Reunion. Did you see Wedding?
Yeah, was that a cat purring?
That was the dog growling. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I've got two cats in here with me. I expect at some point you're going to hear one or both of them growling at each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen. I think I've seen Wedding. I must have seen Wedding because Wedding came out
probably a long time ago. It was like 2005.
Yeah, because Wedding came out. Maybe I know I've seen 2, but I don't know if I did see Wedding. Maybe I didn't see Wedding.
2 is still the strongest of the series by like everyone's standards, including mine. It's definitely the best. But I would say Reunion is the second best, and then Wedding is third, and I put the original as last, which is a very unique position, but I stand by it.
So what's the Reunion about? Is it literally just they're coming back after so many years?
No, so basically they did American Wedding with like 3/4 of the original cast because they couldn't get what's his name who played Kevin. He was doing something else, and Tara Reid at that point had blown up from other movies that she didn't want to come back. Right. And then you didn't get what's his name who played Oz. What the hell is his name? Chris
Klein?
Yeah, no, not Chris Klein. No, it might be Chris Klein. I think you might be right, but it was that guy. And then the girl he was with in the first one who played Heather. So you missed 4 pivotal characters in Wedding. But the one thing that tied Wedding together was Stifler. He's the one consistent through the entire series besides Jim, obviously. I thought Wedding was really damn good, even without the four. They'd made it work, but people wanted everyone together again. So it basically takes place like 3 or 4 years in canon after Wedding, and Jim and what's her name? Oh, what the fuck is her name? Anyways, Jim and his wife are now parents of a kid, and they're trying to have a sex life, but they can't because the kid comes between them. So a reunion comes up, and they all go out to like be themselves again one more time, but everyone's in it this time, and it just ties everything together like so beautifully. It just hits all the beats and points that you would want from a complete total ensemble cast. I know they're doing another one, but I'm like, you know what? It ended so perfectly. I'm just cool if they never touch it again, because you don't want to go back and overdo something. But if you do get a chance, I would say watch it because it's a really funny watch. But that's my opinion.
Okay, the thing is, it's one of I'm genuinely curious about it. I remember I'm pretty sure I saw American Pie. I'm pretty sure I saw The Wedding because it came out in 03, right?
I think
Like,
so. It's 03 or
yeah.
05.
So I think I would have seen that because isn't that the one where Stifler eats a dog poo or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. That's the one. Like I thought
Yep.
it was great. It's
I
pretty good for what it
remember
is.
vaguely enjoying it. I'll throw Reunion on because it's it, why not, right? Like it's been,
Reunion's far better than Wedding, and just under 2, which, like I said, I
yeah.
think still stands the test of time.
What
But
was the
moving on,
reason that Oz wasn't in American Pie 3? Like
the
the
real
character?
life, he was a
No,
big star.
yeah, no, just the story reason. I'm not.
Oh, so basically in Reunion, they explain like why these guys were gone. So
Oh,
Oz
okay.
became like an ESPN like sports superstar, like broadcaster. He just didn't have the time. And now come Reunion, he's basically bored with, he's not bored, but he misses
He's
his old
yeah,
friends in his life, because being rich and like dating models and all the high life just isn't who he is. He's actually a really down home, like East
yeah.
Michigan guy. So it's really, really well done. But what I was gonna say is, next week is the release of what I think no doubt is going to be the biggest movie of the year. Wolverine. And
Yeah.
so
I mean, I have my tickets ready. I
I was
haven't
about to
actually.
say, yeah,
Sorry, I shouldn't say tickets. I have the ticket to the first showing ready.
smart.
Um,
Brady.
Brady is hilarious for the record. Every
Oh,
just chiming in.
man.
Oh, I don't even remember when I'm going. There it is.
But what I was gonna say is, I know sometimes you don't see movies immediately. Sometimes you let them like marinate. This is a movie I think like both of
Oh,
us. Yeah.
I'm going at 20. So I think it's the first showing I could go to see on the 25th. So you know
Yeah.
how the release date's the 26th. They usually start
Yep.
coming out on the 25th. So yeah, 3:40 on that day is when I'm going to see it for the first time.
Oh, you see how you said the first time? Like I know
I'm
no doubt it's gonna be a movie I see
oh
repeat.
that's what I mean. Like I'm well aware that I'm gonna see it more than once. I'm fine with that. Like it
Yep.
doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Now
Whether I
I'm
watch
on
it for the second time in the theater or at home is going to
right.
really depend on how good it is.
Yeah. Now I'm on your page for once. You know me. I'm usually like, I don't care about spoilers. They don't
Yeah,
bother me. I didn't watch the final trailer that came out today. My
I
cousin spoiled it for me, but I was like, okay, no more. I don't want to hear
yep.
any more.
I've oh, am I on mute? Did I just mute myself?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay,
No, you're good.
so I banged my headset. So I think other than the very first trailer, which really gives nothing away, every other trailer that's come on, I've covered my ears. I
Yeah.
think there's been one YouTube thumbnail that I saw that I'm like, that looks no, don't look, don't read the headline, don't read the
Yep.
headline. So I've done everything I can to stay away from it,
Yeah.
and I'm so far so good in that I haven't really seen anything, so I've got about another week to go, and I know this is where it's going to get harder.
Oh,
So
definitely. I
I
would
might go
say
on
go
more of like
dark.
I might
Yeah.
start going on like a social media blind spot.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like I've come this far without any spoilers. I'm
Mhm.
gonna try and go a bit further.
Yeah. Because what I was saying to my cousin today was, I was like, I don't want this. I don't think it will be. I have more faith in this than pretty much any movie in the past couple of years, but I don't want it to be a situation where I was so overhyped going into Multiverse of Madness that everything I saw was the big point of the movie and it was like already ruined. So like, I
Yeah.
don't want that. I know this movie has an obscene amount of cameos from what I've heard from early reviews. And one got spoiled for me today, but I was like, all right, it's not the biggest thing in the world, but
Yeah.
like, there's so much going on in this movie.
I'm with you in the you know, we've gone over the Multiverse of Madness thing a lot before.
Yeah,
and
we always come back to it.
Well, I think it's one of those cases where the title of the movie didn't really help it.
No.
And I think it would have been fine had it come out before
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Thank you. I always get the name wrong. Had it come out before No Way Home, I think it would have been fine.
Agreed.
Because it came out within the same 6 months window as No Way Home, we're like, who else is going to appear? There's no way they're going to blow their load on cameos in the trailer. They 100% did.
100% did. There was no surprise in that movie once you saw the Super Bowl trailer, which was very unusual for Marvel. They don't ever do that.
Yeah, which is why I was surprised. I think maybe Captain Carter wasn't there. Like you saw a couple of them, but you didn't see Captain Carter.
You saw her shield.
You saw the shield. So that you weren't 100% sure which one it would be. Like you can just assume it's Steve Rogers. So I respect the fact that they kept something back, but they would have been better off keeping Xavier back and just had the first couple bars of the 90s theme tune ready to go. And
so I think that's what ruined it was you had like, okay, because you didn't get his face in the trailer. You got like the over the shoulder, unequivocally yellow chair, so you knew it was him. But if they didn't play the opening of the X-Men theme song with it, there was still like maybe it's not him. But once they were like da-na-na-na, you were like, okay, it's Xavier.
Okay. Like and I think too, when it came to No Way Home, you had Tobey Maguire who flat out said, "Yeah, I'm in it," like months ago, right? And then didn't say, and then said nothing else about it. So we were very, very strongly suggested that he was going to be in it.
Yeah, you know, and Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, I'm not in it.
I'm the wolf. I'm not in it. I swear to God, I'd love to be in it. I don't even know anything about it. No one told me.
No one called me nothing. And then the next thing you know, there he is, and you're like, holy shit.
Oh God, in that movie theater, even though you knew there was a possibility, the fanboy in you was still like blown away when they were all revealed.
Like I knew there was a possibility, and I knew there was a better than average chance it was going to happen based on what I'd heard, but I still didn't know for sure until I watched it. And I didn't even tell you, like I came out of it and you're like, well, I'm like, just watch it.
Oh, I remember. You were like, just watch it. Like you played mom. You were like, it was good. It was good. It was good.
I mean, the thing is, you know, whenever I watch a movie and you say, is it good? I'm like, I enjoyed it. Like I hate
that because it's such the like nondescript British reaction. It's just it was good.
I do it deliberately because I hate overhyping something. Like I hate like the last thing I want to do is like, oh my God, it was so fucking great. It was amazing. And you go and you're like, I mean, it was good. It just wasn't as good as you thought it was. So
exactly,
I'm always gonna have that like understated reaction, unless it's terrible. In which case, I'll actually tell you, no, it's.
Oh no, you will. You'll be like, oh no, it was bloody awful. You know.
Yeah.
What I mean?
No, it's god awful. So.
But this movie has so much potential, but it also has so much that it's responsible for, because while I haven't looked up or listened to spoilers, I have watched, there was like a press conference with the director, Ryan Reynolds, and Hugh Jackman, and talking about like how it all came about, but they weren't giving spoilers. And like the girl was trying so hard to get things, but they just were really good at dodging it.
Could you imagine if it was fucking Tom Holland in that interview?
Oh my God, he would have fucked that up so bad.
Don't worry, I'm alive. I haven't seen it yet, Tom. Oh fuck.
Yeah, they would have yanked him. They would have been like, that's it. But no, they went into how the project came around, what the seeds were for the project. And Ryan Reynolds said unequivocally, he's like, we had these seeds planted since Deadpool 1. That end cap scene where he's Ferris Bueller and he's like, Wolverine will, maybe someone will call, like, he dropped a tiny hint and then he's like, oh, but Cable's in the next movie. And then he kept going to it. He was like, I basically nodded to the fans when I put the Wolverine origin scene in. He's like, I always had this idea that if I was doing a third one, and the reason I held out for so long was I had to get Hugh back for it. The problem was at that time, it wasn't that Hugh didn't want to do it. It's just he had so much other shit going on.
Yeah.
And he had done Logan, and he was like, I've done this character for so long. Like, Logan was the perfect goodbye. So he was like, the only way I could get him was he wanted Logan and that story to be intact and respected without ruining the integrity of that version of Wolverine. So that basically tells you this is a brand new Wolverine. And from what I can surmise is it's the worst Wolverine in the timeline. Like, the Wolverine that fucks up the most, isn't as good at what he does. It's that Wolverine who Deadpool comes across, and probably by accident, you know what I mean? Like, he's probably time jumping,
it's one of those things where I'm really curious how they're going to frame it, because Deadpool being able to break the fourth wall, it could even be, hey, you need to get a team together to do this. I'm gonna go get Wolverine. Who? Oh, he's another. He can break it that way.
Right.
So
exactly. And
full disclosure, folks, we have no idea about this movie. We're speculating based on not even a full suit of trailer.
Well, I mean, we have an idea. It's basically what we talked about a year ago. And we can go back to episodes. I'm not Nostradamus. I'm not, a prediction person, but I think I said in one of our year ago episodes before this was fully revealed, I said, if they do it, it's going to be Deadpool kills the Fox universe. Or I think my exact words was, it'll be Deadpool kills the Marvel universe and resets things. It was something to that effect. And I was pretty bang on with it. I didn't know how far they'd go, but they're basically going as far as I thought they would. The only thing that has thrown me for a complete loop is Cassandra Nova being the villain, which is intriguing. But I'm also like, okay, if I was going to do this, there's definitely a different villain I would have used. I would have used something more of a timeline, time controlling villain.
I think though that we've had too much of that recently, and if you're going to keep it as a Deadpool thing with nods to the Marvel universe, the MCU, then you're going to have a separate villain, and you can introduce someone new that could still come back in the future.
Now, the other thing is, you're the X-Men expert. I'm pretty good at X knowledge, but it's not as good as like my Spider-Man knowledge, which is pretty much unparalleled. But like Cassandra Nova, I thought is the twin sister of Charles Xavier.
That was always my assumption as well.
Okay, because that's what was basically laid out during the Astonishing run, is that she was his like disassociated twin, and she was the evil one. That's what I thought. So I guess there's way more deep of a backstory to her, like a convoluted one.
I'm sure. That doesn't surprise me, because let's face it, it's
so
comics.
That will work. Work. But what I thought would be fun is, since I brought this up and it just jumped into my head, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. So we're talking about the movie. We haven't seen spoilers. We don't really know who or what is in it. We know like what it's about. We know the framework, but we don't know how deep it goes. We just know basically Deadpool and Wolverine is a buddy cop story to get them to the MCU and fix the shit that Fox created. But we don't really know who's in it. But I thought it would be fun for you and I to predict who is in it. Like, go back and forth and just think. Like I said, I predict there is no less than, I'm just doing my 15 cameos that are major. So if you want to go back and forth, I'm just curious on who you would think.
I don't even. I have no. Like, I'm gonna assume that you're gonna get Colossus of some kind.
No, that one don't count. You want to think of Fox characters throughout the entire Fox franchise that
Oh yeah,
hasn't
yeah, yeah.
showed up in Deadpool yet or any other.
Valid.
It'll be easier than you think. Just think of them.
I mean, I'm thinking of like Chris Evans, maybe.
Okay, so I agree with you, and I think it's confirmed. But yes, Chris Evans, but definitely not as Cap. I think he's going to be Human
I
Torch.
think he's gonna be Human Torch. Yeah.
Okay, so the next one I think will be Sabretooth from
Yeah.
or not Origins, from X-Men 1.
Tyler Mane.
Yes.
Yeah.
On to you.
Oh God. I feel like if you're going to I could see Magneto maybe. But again, like these are such. I can't imagine some of these actors would come back for such a bit part. But at the same time,
See,
maybe
that's the thing. I bet they all do. That's why I'm
yeah.
asking. Okay.
Yeah.
So like
I
Ian
honestly don't
McKellen
know.
or
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender.
My answer is going to be yes, because
Okay.
the thing is, at the same time, I could see it, but I
Mhm.
almost don't want it to be jam full of stuff, because the bigger the names you have in, the more time you almost have to give them on screen, right? So like it's one of those things where I almost would rather them have like 4 or 5 and then just have it be worth
There's
the money
no
they're
way
paying
it's
for it.
4 or 5. There's an overload. I guarantee you.
Oh,
Overload.
you're probably right because of just how it's being done, but I'm sure you're going to see some of the TVA guys from Loki in there as well.
No. We're talking just the cameos. I'm gonna predict are gonna be all Fox cameos from previous Fox movies. Because who cares if they're MCU characters?
If we get Daredevil, Ben Affleck as Daredevil, I'm gonna be over the fucking moon.
I guarantee you get Ben Affleck. That was one of mine, and Elektra.
Yeah. If you get one, you get the other.
Yep.
Ben Affleck is Daredevil, and this would be hilariously fantastic because then he would have played, like, I mean, effectively 2 different versions of Daredevil.
Right. But you also have
Batman
to think like what this movie allows, the vehicle it allows because of the way it's made. Wade Wilson is the type of character that can just time jump for like a couple seconds and have an interaction with one of these guys. So like you don't want to miss the opportunity to do a hilarious thing unless they're ever going to come back again. So I could see him being like, "Oh crap, you're blind, but you're not, the blind guy I know." Like whatever. I mean, there's going to be a lot of that. I think there's going to be a lot of like 30-second cameos. They won't all be poignant.
No, I think you're going to get a lot of like Brad Pitt cameos.
Yes, exactly.
Right,
So,
like that kind of thing. So,
like, I think you're going to get wacky ones like Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider.
Oh, 100%.
Like, yeah, I don't think you'll get the whole Fantastic Four, but you'll get Chris Evans.
You might get Chris Evans, and I could see you getting The Thing, but it may not be Michael Chiklis in it. It could be anyone in that rubber suit. Because if you can have more than one, why not? And you could even have Sue, quote, invisible there as well.
True. I don't think they'll go cheap though. I think they're going for broke. So the other one I'm thinking of for Fox, I think you get Wesley Snipes as Blade. I definitely think you get him.
I see. That's one I would be less sure on because they haven't released a new Blade yet. I don't know if they would.
Mahershala Ali's gone, so I think this could be like a troll.
Yeah, it's true, and that would also be what they would do.
Mm-hmm. And then for X people, let's see. I think you get Halle Berry as Storm.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're gonna get Xavier. Oh, you'll get Xavier, but I'm on the fence if it's McAvoy Xavier or.
I think it's going to be interesting because you could, even if they're using older footage of them as well.
No, it'll be all new footage. I think.
I'm sure it would more likely be newer footage, but you could throw in like the odd 4 or 5 seconds of older footage, even if it's just like Cyclops running across in the background as Deadpool doing something. But if he's interspersing or about watching something happened from X-Men 1, they could reuse that footage without him having to actually do the reshoot. So
That's true.
And anything's really possible, like you said, when he's got that time jump that he can just bounce back and forth with. So,
and you have to remember, because I just recently watched it, like at the end of Deadpool 2, he has Cable's device.
Yes,
it's fully fixed. So he went and fixed all the shit, and now he has it, which is probably why the TVA comes after him. They're probably like, "Hey, you can't
do that.
You have this device that is not yours, or whatever." But I was just thinking, like, how funny would it be to get like James McAvoy, Xavier, and Ian McKellen Magneto, but not the other two?
That's what I'm thinking. Like that would be hilarious to have that, or even vice versa.
Right, exactly. Like there'll be a swap. I don't think you'll get both from the same movie. I think you'll get like a mishmash where they're like, "Hey, wait a minute, you're Charles Xavier." You know what I mean? So they'll do that. From Spider-Man though, because you remember Spider-Man wasn't it Sony or is it Sony Fox?
It was Sony.
Okay, fully Sony, not Fox Sony.
Yeah, no, they were fully Sony.
So I don't think you'll get Spider-Man.
I don't think you'll get Spider-Man. I think it's going to deal with the Fox universe, and I also think, given we've just had a bunch of Spider-Man stuff in No Way Home, they're not going to rehash that. This is basically going to be a Fox version of that movie, really.
Yeah, I think you get Gambit from Origins, but I also think you get the Gambit going forward. I think you get Channing Tatum.
I would be fine either way. Like either way, I think in some ways you almost don't want them to do too much fan service to the older movies, because there's going to be people that have never watched them and are going to be confused as fuck, and then wonder hey, that's not Gambit that I remember.
Okay.
When he shows up, so
and what else? I think you get Vinnie Jones as Juggernaut just for the joke. Yeah.
Oh, what? Yeah, that is a thing that would happen, and he is not that right. Like throw him in for that joke, and then have Deadpool cut his head off or something like that, right? Like that's what you're going to end up seeing.
Yeah, he'll be happy, and then let me think. So we've named a bunch right now.
I haven't even been counting either.
I think we're over like a dozen.
Yeah.
But the ones that I'm not sure, which I'd be very fine with, but I'm not sure, is like Thomas Jane as the Punisher. We might get him. I think he's a very big long shot. Like I think they would go for Nicolas Cage first as Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
So you get that.
I think especially considering the Ghost Rider movies are slightly more recent, and you've already got like they're bringing John Bernthal back. Right. So I don't think that they would try and confuse that as much.
I think you'll get like multiple Wolverines.
Yes, agreed. The Thomas Jane Punisher wasn't that well received either, but it wasn't as universally reviled as Ghost Rider, which is why it would be funnier to bring Ghost Rider back versus Punisher.
Well, you also got to think like Ghost Rider more visually. There's more jokes, like with the flaming head and things like that. So that's funny. Like tangent, we can watch The Punisher with Thomas Jane sometime and go back and revisit it. It's a guilty pleasure of mine.
I would do that. That's one of those movies that I remember watching a while ago, and it was fine. Like I enjoyed it. I also recently learned that during the scene where Kevin Nash is fighting the Punisher, they forgot to switch out the fake knife with the real knife. So Thomas Jane actually stabbed him, and that's the shot they used.
Oh damn! I didn't know that.
Like when Thomas Jane when the Russian gets stabbed in the chest, he's actually stabbed, and the reaction you get from Kevin Nash is the legitimate reaction that he just no-sells it.
That's crazy.
And I guess they put it out afterwards, and he's like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just thought, I really, it's like I knew the mistake was made, but we were on a roll, so I'm just."
That's funny shit. Like considering how fragile Nash is in the ring, to him to no-sell a knife, But to tear a quad walking in the ring is like, that's hysterical.
Right?
Just trying to think, is there anybody else in the X people that we would get? Like maybe Famke Janssen as Jean. Maybe.
That's Famke Janssen is more likely to me than Halle Berry.
Really?
Oh, because that would tie up the Wolverine Jean thing as well.
Right.
You would tie back to that, as opposed to like if I'm looking at it with a budget in mind, and you've got Halle Berry and Famke Janssen, Halle Berry is probably more expensive, and
easily,
right, and ultimately Storm versus Jean Grey to Wolverine, I think Jean Grey would have a bigger impact than Storm coming back.
I also think you'll get what's her name, Daphne Keane as X-23.
Yes, I agree. I'm curious.
The only one from Logan.
I'm wondering if you're going to get Elliot Page return as well.
Elliot Page.
So Elliot Page played Kitty Pryde.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right? Is that so? There was he was Ellen Page at the time. So I'm curious to see if you'll get him back, because if they do, I'm going to assume that he's not really going to want to play a female version of Kitty Pryde. So that could also be something that I could see them touching on as well. So
yeah, that's actually a good point. Now, in the same vein, now you just mentioned that, I got a burp. I could see us getting Bobby Drake from X2.
Yeah.
And I could see us getting Rogue from the X movies period, the original.
Yeah, I'm Pyro too. I would not be so, because again,
Pyro's already spoiled.
Yeah,
he was in the first trailer.
Okay, that is why I thought I've seen him. So so like the kids from X2 that he's with, I could see coming back. I could see. Apparently, my door just opened because a cat ran.
I just heard it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're gonna get stuff like that, like the kids from X2 most likely come back. I think you'll be likely to see Daphne Keane as well.
I think she's the only one from what's called
Origin. Logan. Yeah, Logan I think is going to be really light on cameos from.
Yeah, I don't think they'll really mess with it. Like, I think you'll just get like and a lot of these I don't think will be blink and you miss it cameos. I think they're going to be fan service, like Spider-Man No Way Home. Like Ryan Reynolds has his finger on the pulse. He's been so smart with the way he's constructed the Deadpool movies that he knows what fans want, which is why we're getting Wolverine. And he also explained, if we were going to do this, we needed Hugh in full Wolverine costume. Like that was a day one thing, which was a challenge because they said it's a yellow costume. Like it's very hard to bring it to life seriously. But they've done such a brilliant job that, like, who can argue? It's like one of my favorite movie designs.
It's funny, like I know it would have been difficult to bring to life, but at the same time, you could have brought it to life poorly and people would have been like, okay, that's just Wolverine.
Yeah, exactly. They could have done it without the helmet, but they went full boat. And I sent you the Marvel Legend, which looks stellar.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like that looks amazing. I can't wait till that's officially revealed, so we get some decent shots of it.
Yeah, guaranteed it will be San Diego.
100%. Yeah.
So I think those are going to be like the bulk of the cameos we get. The one that I'm hoping and praying for, that has been a rumor for a year. It's a long shot, but I honestly think she's going to do it. I think you are going to get Taylor Swift as Dazzler. I really, really, really think you are.
I think that's more likely than not. I think it's going to be a very quick blink, blink and you miss it. I don't think it'll be long, and I don't think she'll survive the movie.
No, like I don't think it's going to be one of those things that you get her version of Alison Blair and be like, oh, she's going to be Dazzler going forward. No, it'll be like you see her, something happens, but you see her. Yeah,
agreed.
So like I'm excited for that. I'm just very excited for the movie because the last time we had a movie that attempted to fix continuity, it did it very, very well, in my view. But
Mhm.
then they fucked up continuity immediately again with the next movie. So it wasn't that movie's
I
fault.
I
But
don't know what you're talking about. Days of Future
Days of
Past is the
Future,
last
yeah,
X-Men movie.
exactly. That's
I
what I'm
on
saying.
like jokes aside, Days of Future Past is
So good.
so good, and it's also like if you end the X-Men movies there,
Yep.
I'm happy. I because what came after Dark Phoenix, Apocalypse?
Apocalypse came first, and then Dark Phoenix, which, oof, man, bad, like
Yeah,
so bad.
I don't I forget those because it
No,
went from First Class to something else. Was there
no,
something else?
it was First Class, then it went to Days of Future Past, where it
Yeah.
bridged both.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. So
And First Class was so good. Like I remember when it came out, I was like, okay, I don't have a ton of faith in it, but I love X-Men. I'm gonna see what they do. And it fucking banged. It was so good because it reminded me of the original X-Men, like first couple issues run,
mhm.
not Jim Lee, but the original Stan Lee. They weren't the same characters, but it was the same spirit. Like I would argue First Class is much better than Bryan Singer's first X-Men. Far better. Just way better dynamic. I loved Kevin Bacon as Sebastian Shaw. Magneto was perfect with Michael Fassbender. It just had so much going for it. But X2 of Bryan Singer's is by far and away the best X movie that they've produced. It's
Mhm.
just so good. And then the follow up under X2 would be Days of Future Past for me.
Yeah.
Those two are the by far the best. I think this movie is going to try as much as they can to clean up all the continuity and all the crap that people complain about. But I
Well,
also think it's going to troll itself and be like, hey, we
yeah.
can only do so much.
The funny thing is with this movie, I don't care if it really ties up the Fox continuity stuff
No,
because ultimately that's a universe that we're never going to get any more in. So you
right.
can pick and choose what you want to see from that now going forward. So if you
Exactly.
only want to watch the first 5 X-Men films and call it a day, great, you're
Yep.
done. If you want to add
Right.
in the Wolverine and Logan, like
Mm-hmm.
either side of Days of Future Past, even better. That's one more run, right?
Right.
But yeah, like it's just one of those things where you might get a fantastic run. You
Mm-hmm.
might get a serviceable movie that brings Deadpool and Wolverine of some variety into the
Right.
MCU. And
Yeah. And
I mean,
like,
at the
I
end of the
don't
day,
think this is, yep. Sorry.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, as long as I enjoy it, I'm
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
At the end of the day, did you think in 2024 we would be talking about Wolverine as Hugh Jackman again?
Oh
Because
hell no.
I certainly didn't after Logan, and I was okay with it. But the
Yeah,
fact that we are, and the guy looks timeless, bring it on. And the fact that they've already publicly said that, yes, this might be his last, like, big feature, but he is already in Avengers Secret Wars. He's already in both.
yeah. So and
So
that's just it. Like
that's going to be incredible.
I'm really happy that we're getting more Hugh Jackman. He doesn't
Same.
have to he doesn't have to do it. And the thing is that yeah, I know he's no spring chicken, but
No,
Logan works as looking like a 50-year-old man as well, or looking like
right.
whatever age Hugh Jackman looks, because it sure as fuck ain't 50.
No.
Um, right? So like he works. He actually I think looks better with a slightly older actor
Hmm.
playing him. And I mean, you can make up CGI de-aging, all of that shit. Hell,
He's
give him a
just so good. Like at
yeah,
this
like
point,
give him
he's
a
Wolverine.
mask, and you don't really need to do a whole lot with the de-aging, right? Really.
No, no. He
So
just you like he. It's the funniest thing in the world that we've talked about this before, and then we'll end pretty soon. Um,
yeah,
we've talked about this. Like he was not what you would picture as Wolverine. Like if you were to cast a movie in 2001 or whenever X-Men came out, and you were going to cast Wolverine, you would not be casting someone who is 6'2" and ruggedly, amazingly handsome as Wolverine, because the comic books would tell you, oh, no, he's a short, stocky, gruff guy. That doesn't fit the bill. However,
No.
once you saw him, you fell in love with him and you forgot all about it. And like, to many people, forget the comics. Like, he's your Wolverine. Like, he is Wolverine. When you say it, it's almost like Chris Reeve. Like, you just identify Wolverine.
You don't think about anyone else as being Wolverine.
Nope. And that's what's going to be the hardest thing. I think they can do it? Yeah, given enough time. But like, the longer you have Hugh Jackman in the movies as Wolverine, it's going to be harder. So like, he's already in the next couple. Maybe he won't be as widely featured, but he's still going to be in them. And then just think about it, 25 years of playing the same character on film.
I mean, that's a Guinness World Record, right?
It has to be. Like, there's no Bond, there's no Batman, there's no any one character I can think of that has been played that many times in the same role by the same actor. I mean, I'll challenge myself, but I honestly can't think of it. The only one who I think comes close, and correct me if I'm wrong, wouldn't it be Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt?
Yes.
Because he's got to have done it for what, 14, 15, maybe 16?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's been doing it like there's 8 Mission Impossibles?
At least, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's close. Sean Connery and Roger Moore as James Bond, maybe. They may have done it for a while.
They weren't consistently doing the movies.
When did
Sean Connery only did like 3, and then you had like James Bond has always been like a 3-bid movie type of thing, and then they moved on to a different actor. That was always the thing.
Roger Moore had done it longer than that.
Maybe
I could be,
at the
yeah,
most.
maybe 4.
There's been 25 Bond films total together with what was it, Spectre? No, well, the last one, whatever it was.
No Time to Die.
Yeah, that was the 25th. That was Bond 25. Yeah. So, but you also got to think, between 25 Bond films, there's been, I would say, close to 10 Bonds split between all those films.
Apparently, Sean Connery was. I've looked it up now. Now I'm curious. Okay. So Sean Connery did James Bond in Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Diamonds Are Forever, and Never Say Never, which is
7.
Yeah, and that's from 62 to 83. There was a 10-year gap, 12-year gap between his Diamonds Are Forever and Never Say Never Again.
Wow, damn.
You had, George Lazenby did 1, he doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
And then Roger Moore was Bond from 73 to 85. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He did 7 as well. Timothy Dalton did 2.
Yep.
Pierce Brosnan did 4. And Daniel Craig has done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Oh shit! I just figured out the code. So Hugh Jackman wouldn't be it, but he would definitely be second, because you know who would be first? Even though there's a time jump between like movies being made, you know who would be the first?
No.
Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, which isn't fair, because like they went 20-something years without making the movie.
Yeah,
but still, the longest.
It's arguably
the character.
Yeah, arguably true.
Yeah. So with that being said, I thought we'd go into SDCC and all this other stuff, but clearly not tonight. We'll save it.
Yeah, I think given that this will come out, I think as SDCC is ending, we're almost better off waiting to see what news came out and then doing a very delayed reaction thing.
SDCC is going to be so scary. Like, I predict they're just going to come for every cent that everyone has with everything that everyone wants.
Yeah, your wallet's going to hate you after SDCC.
Well, right now I don't have a wallet until things kick in, but once it does, holy shit, dude. Like, I mean, just the pre stuff has been insane. Like there are things that I have already earmarked that like even with limited things, I'm still gonna get. Like
Yeah.
obviously Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine Marvel Legend, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, of
Certain
course.
things like that. But like I'm gonna have to scale back until everything kicks in for me that I'm owed because you're gonna have the HasLabs, you're gonna have like
You're gonna have a bunch of
everything.
stuff coming at once. Yeah.
Yeah, McFarlane's gonna make every Batmobile in existence, apparently. So like that hurts. Um, all these properties, like it's just crazy. But I will honestly say this: it's very funny, and I never thought I'd say this. Like I was telling my buddy who I film toy hunts with, it has been so freeing over the past like three weeks. I think it's been that I haven't been focused on toys in any way, shape, or form. Like it's just been so freeing that I'm not like, oh crap, I need this pre-order, I need this, I need this, I need this. Like it's not obsessive. And now I'm starting to think, huh, maybe I can do without as much more than I thought. Like I don't need everything that's coming out. Like I've scaled back on Masterverse, huge. Like I scaled back on that big time.
Mm.
Unless something crazy that I can't pass up comes out, I'm like, I'll wait
I,
for it.
I'm honestly in the same boat. I actually put a bunch of
Yeah,
my Masterverse stuff in a box in the basement, just because
yeah,
I've got too much out. I don't really need to have all of this displayed. So I've got a
yeah.
bunch of that put, and
It's
I'm
crazy.
probably going to put a bit more away as well, just as newer stuff comes out, because I'm not having like I've been posing a bit here and there, but for the most
Hmm.
part, the posability with them versus Legends isn't the same.
No.
So I think I'm going to probably end up putting them away, and if I do go deeper into the Street Fighter stuff, maybe have one of the display spaces I had for them
Yeah.
dedicated to that instead. So
Yeah. I mean, it's just people making adult decisions,
yeah,
right? Like, who would have thought I'd ever grow into an adult? But like, there's other things too. Like,
hey,
I
you
opened the Mezco Batman.
yeah,
Hmm.
you grow old, you don't grow up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'll show you the Batmobile. I haven't fully opened it yet. Like, I peeked at it. It's
Hmm.
beautiful. But the Mezco Batman's a letdown for something that I waited 2.5 years for. Like he's almost a statue. Like,
Oh,
I'm pissed. Like, he
I
looks great.
it's
Looks
funny.
great.
I almost was, oh, maybe this will be my second one, and I'm glad I didn't
Mm,
now.
no, not if you want something that's gonna pose. If
Yeah,
you just want a beautiful representation of Robert Pattinson, by all means, get him. But like he is so stiff, and I'm just trying to like work it out. But when I get it worked out, I'll send you pictures. But like that's my
yeah,
thing. Mezco is so high in price now. Like, I have to come into this reality. Unfortunately, people listening, life is cyclical. Sometimes you're on top and things run like water, and then sometimes things come to a stop with no fault of your own. And then when they do, you find out like what you were just pissing away. Like I used to piss away $200 on a figure like every week or whenever I wanted. I would just be like, oh, it's 200. Yeah, I'll pay 250 if I really want it. And like I
yeah.
didn't care. Now I'm like, shit, I was just pissing money away. I should be more choosy with my quality and things like that. So I'm starting to like even when I get back on top, that's the new mentality I'm taking.
I,
Because this could always happen again, you know?
I think yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it because you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
As with
exactly.
anything, it's a case of enjoy the hobbies you do as long as you can, but
Yes.
conversely, don't enjoy them too much.
Yeah.
Not, well,
I would
don't,
say
you
like
know, there's a
I
better way to
would
say it,
say
but
it
it's,
like
I'm
this.
tired.
Yeah, I would say if it doesn't spark you joy after you buy it and have had it, then you don't need it. Like if you walk by it in a box all the time, then you probably won't miss it. If it's something that's in a display and you look at and you're like, "Oh, I'm really proud of it." Keep it. But like you also said, don't get into this or comic book collecting or card collecting for investment. Never ever do that.
It's as long as you enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can afford it, then obviously go nuts.
Yep. It's a happy accident if it becomes an investment. That's just the second part of it. But get into this because you love it. And if you no longer love it, it's okay. Get into something else, like jet skiing. That's all I'll say.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.